As usual, at this time on a Wednesday, Sara Thornton puts somewhere on the map. Tonight, I'm hoping she's in West Sussex. And Sara, tonight you're in a village which is also a town.
It's sort of a neighbourhood, it's a suburb, whatever you want to call it. It was certainly formerly a village. It's Ifield in Crawley, mentioned in Doomsday, and absolutely lovely with it. And even tonight, you know, it has been very villagey. They've been practicing cricket, they've been playing basketball behind me, there have been children playing on the playground, there have been some dog walkers as well. And I have to say, I've reached the absolute perfect optimum temperature, which is not something I could say on the day I came to visit here a couple of weeks ago. Just 2 miles from the centre of Crawley, there's an ancient parish with a 1,000-year history. Ifield Village, now considered to be a neighbourhood of the much larger town, was mentioned in the Doomsday Book. Parts of it are now a conservation area, which is where I meet my guide to Ifield today, Jenny Frost.
Hello and welcome to a very wet Ifield. It's not a nuclear village like some, it's more what you might think of as facilities. It is part of Crawley, but it gives a really nice transition from that urban area into the village area.
Well, we're getting quite wet, so maybe we'll go and take a look, shall we?
It's a brilliant idea, okay. Yes.
It's thought a church has stood here since the 10th century, although the oldest part of the current building is a mere 600 or 700 years old. And inside, an effigy gives a link to that archaic past.
Lovely smell of old churches. Oh. This is supposed to be Sir John de Ifield. Is thought to commemorate him and his wife over there.
Oh my goodness.
And the lovely lion sitting at his feet. It would have been a much more coloured thing than now, but all that has, you know, the paint has been lost.
Passing back through the Lich Gate, Jenny takes me on a walk through the village, pointing out the many listed buildings, the vicarage, the former butchers, and the inn where reformist Elizabeth Fry carried out some of her work, before we finally arrive at the old forge.
It's the cast iron former for the tyres for wooden cartwheels.
Ah.
So you put your cartwheel there, you heat up the tyre that's going to go round it. So you then have to pour lots of water on quickly, and then it contracts quickly, very tightly round it.
Lastly, Jenny takes me to the Quakers meeting house, thought to be one of the oldest in the world.
1676, so very much in the early days of Quakerism. Very simple, and it is still a Quaker meeting house, and there is still a meeting here, although small.
One final stop on my tour, the watermill. The original 17th century mill was destroyed in the Civil War, but after being rebuilt was used until the 1920s, then allowed to go to ruin, until local volunteers stepped in.
Part of the restoration was to get the water wheel working again. It was embedded in the mud outside. The trees had invaded the building and they dislodged the roof. It's also got so much to teach us from the point of view of engineering and inventions.
It's peace that you find in Ifield, a sanctuary so close to the clamour of Crawley. Well, thank you to Jenny for spending a very wet day with me. We did have a good time though. As always, I've left an awful lot of information and some great shots on the cutting room floor, but I would say definitely worth getting to that mill. It's open every last Sunday of the month, right the way through until September, because there's so much more about that story of the restoration to find out about. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that actually I was feeling pleasantly warm. That, of course, is after a very warm day. Let's take a look at the forecast for the next few days. We have got to talk about the headline. Of course, it is about this heat and how it is building over the next couple of days. And with that, this afternoon, we have had issued a heat warning, a level 3 warning, an amber warning. And if you are particularly vulnerable, if you really suffer in the heat, something to think about, especially with the nighttime temperatures. Friday will be the peak of it. over 31 degrees potentially. Let's look at this evening and overnight. It is really just a glorious end to the day. There's a little bit of cloud here and there, but a lot of sunshine with us, and that leads us to a clear night tonight. Tonight actually won't be one of the warmest we're likely to see in the next couple of days. We'll see our temperatures falling down low double figures into tomorrow morning, so still comfortable enough for sleeping, I think. And then through the day tomorrow, it's that sunshine again. Let me mention once more that because we are so close now to the summer solstice and the longest days, of course it means we are at the strongest with the sun. High UV levels tomorrow and also very high pollen levels too. So that's tomorrow, and then as we go through towards Friday, the temperatures continuing to climb. So it's high 20s tomorrow and 31, possibly 32 degrees for us on Friday. Now, of course, you know, in the UK, the adage is 3 fine days and a thundery breakdown. And yes, that is what's going to happen as colder air tries to sink in from the north and meets the very hot air through the weekend. For us, we might get away with some dry weather for a good deal of Saturday, but Sunday, be prepared for some downpours. Natalie.
OK, it's warm enough for me already. I'm not looking forward to Friday. Sara, thank you very much indeed.